What? Hey, is it working? It it looks like it's working. Is it working? Can you guys? Hey. Oh my God. I don't even know what I did. Oh. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's try this. So, ba ba ba. Okay. Is it? Oh, so it's not working, or it is? Is it not? Is the mic not working, or am I just super buffered out? Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Well, let's just see. Okay. All right. Good. So here is what I wanted to cover tonight. So, ba ba ba. All right. So I wanted to go through 4 things, and then if you guys have any questions, let her rip. But so I wanted to go through some things that I saw at the Peterson Museum video. And then I was going to touch some about the Lordstown reveal, the Lordstown pickup truck reveal. I was going to mention some things about the Ford sustainability thing that came out today. And if we have time, we can talk about the V2G thing. So what I wanted to show you guys. So something that I noticed, and it starts early on in this video, about 18 seconds in here. Okay. He's just going to lower the camera here in a second, and then I want to stop it for a second. Okay. So here's one thing I wanted to talk about. So back in the when I referred to the when I did the early video on the suspension, one of the things that the Motor Trend article talked about was the Under Armoured carriage. But I want to show you guys, let me get the video here a little bigger. So this is not normal, and I'm not sure, again, I never know how much different people know about trucks, but the way that this bumper is integrated with this area down here, this is actually armor. This is legitimate an off-road bumper designed because it transitions into an actual Under Armour section right here. The other thing is these wheel wells are, if they're built out of the same stuff, those are that's not normal. Mostly you have to put aftermarket wheel well protection, armor, in order to protect your wheel wells. So the other thing I wanted to show you, let's see if it shows up here. Okay, so this area right here, that's a rock slider. Now, actually in that Motor Trend article, they did say it was a rock slider, but I was a little skeptical because I was like, I don't know if that's really true. So I was going to try and actually pull together the information on what it would take. But I think for a full off-road bumper Under Armour package like this, with the wheel wells and the rock sliders, you're probably talking $3,000 to $4,000 of armor. this is really serious heavy duty bumpers. Some of these bumpers in the off-road community, just for a rear bumper like this with integrated armor, is like $1,500. Same for the front fender. And I haven't priced rock sliders for my Tacoma yet, but that's one of the things that was down the road. So the first thing I was going to do with my Tacoma was the suspension, and then I was going to start working on the armor stuff. But just in armor and suspension, it's like $8,000 to $10,000 what the Cybertruck has that is legitimate. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, let's see, any questions about the armor or the skid plate or the rock sliders? Do you guys know what rock sliders are? Basically, it lets you, the problem with the longer wheelbase trucks is that you can end up getting high centered on a rock. And what you want to be able to do is basically just force yourself across that without damaging the sheet metal. That's what those sliders are for. So anyway, I was gonna look here. Okay, let's see. Right here. So, yeah, I'm not sure if this, yeah. I had all this lined up before we restarted. But, yeah, well, Jason, I'm thinking $1,000 is what, that's just the bumper, right? That's not installed. That's just if you bought it. I mean, that's my impression is $1,000 to $1,500. Then the install is extra. So one of the things that someone's asked about and I've been really paying attention to, there is no seam here. There is no, I really want to explore a little bit this whole idea of an alternate type of windshield wiper. So it could just be that I'm not going to go through it today here, but I've been out trolling around the internet looking at what are some alternate windshield wiper technologies that might work, and none of them, there's nothing right now that works with nothing there. So on one hand, that just means, well, maybe they just didn't put a gap in and they're going to put a regular set of windshield wipers in. But Tesla did get a patent on a windshield wiper design that's pretty weird. Maybe I'll show that. Maybe I'll go through that next week. When I might just do a little section on the wipers. But this is really fascinating because I can't figure out how the whole wiper thing is going to work. So I've got some ideas on that I want to run down a little bit more, but I think that's super interesting. So yeah, lasers, I've seen the laser thing. That doesn't make any sense to me. I've seen people talk about that. So the two that I've seen that seem legitimate is either they have this really wonky, I can't even explain it. I need to think about how to explain this wiper to you. But they have a patent, and there are YouTube videos on the patent where people have tried to like mock it up. But the other one is something called an air curtain, and there's some really, really interesting videos where people have, there's a video I watched yesterday where people have a GoPro that they put inside of a CNC machine that's constantly getting lubricants sprayed up on it, and they want to film making the CNC process. And they built a air curtain device that goes right next to the GoPro, and it basically keeps the windshield of the GoPro lens of the GoPro free of all this, not just water, but like shavings and the lubricants that they use in the CNC routers. So that looks super interesting. And then I'm like, well, there is an onboard air compressor. And then I saw another thing called an air knife, air blade, air knife, same thing. But they're not using very high. They can move shavings and other stuff with not a lot of PSI. So it strikes me as conceivable that might actually be a possibility. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's just interesting. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. You mean not? Yeah. Okay. Well, if you guys have any ideas that you want me to research, let me know. But other than that, that's about all I took away. But I would just say that I tried to, I couldn't really tell much about the suspension with the videos, but I'm hoping somebody that knows more about suspension might be able to get more data. But the thing I took away from this is, again, reinforcing my opinion that this is going to be probably the most amazing stock off-road vehicle ever made, except for the fact that it's big, and so it's still going to have some challenges in the narrow things. So anyway, that's all I got on the Peterson Museum thing. So I wanted to talk about Lordstown. Have you guys seen anything? Do you know anything about the Lordstown truck? If you do, put it in the comments. Actually, I want to go to YouTube. Oops, I guess I can just do that here. Okay, so I want to show you. This is, I think this is really, oh man, this should tell you something. If you guys watch my video on the Cybertruck effect, the fact that I'm, so look how hard I'm having to look to find the reveal, but I can't even find it. That's crazy. So anyway, Lordstown did their reveal, and they actually had Vice President Pence on site to do it. And when I had everything queued up, the reveal video had, I think, 1,700 views. So, okay, that should tell you something. That is a big red flag for the people at Lordstown, that they had 1,600 views on their reveal. Now, I will say that the truck that they revealed looks a lot, I mean, it looks just like Lordstown. Oh, why is it doing, why won't it go? This one. Lordstown trucks. Why is this so hard? There we go. Again, do you see how hard, how many times I had to hit search in order to get, and then, okay, here we're finally at Lordstown, their truck. So one of the things that I'm working on is I've been doing these truck comparisons between the Cybertruck and classic ICE vehicles. And honestly, it just feels like a bloodbath. It doesn't even, the Cybertruck is so superior that it's sort of like beating a dead horse. It's not even challenging to make the Cybertruck just thrash it from both a cost standpoint and a performance standpoint. Really, honestly, the only thing you could hang your hat on as legitimate criticism of the Cybertruck is either the aesthetics, you can't stand them, or range, because the range potentially is an issue. Now, I don't think it's a big deal, but that's the one spec that conventional ICE vehicles still beat it on. And again, I'm not even going into maintenance costs. I'm just doing depreciation and fuel. So the thing that I'm doing, let me see if I can get to it. Okay, so I want to show you guys this, what I'm working on here. So this is, let me zoom in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take every single electric pickup truck that I can find in every version that they're saying they come in. And then I'm going to go through and I've identified 45 different specifications for all these. And I'm probably going to do some ICE vehicles on this too. But so then what I'm doing here is I'm taking each vehicle in each configuration and I'm going through and I'm listing every specification for that vehicle. And then what I'll be able to do is we'll be able to pull out specific, I can do a comparison of like 12 vehicles for horsepower, 12 vehicles for clearance, or 12 vehicles for purchase price. I can do different ways of comparing the vehicles, but I can already tell you it's not looking good for the other electric pickup trucks in terms of the specs that they've come out with. Honestly, the company that has the best, what is most attractive to me is Atlas, but unfortunately I think they're probably the most likely to not make it. They feel very shoestringy. So anyway, I wanted to mention that I'm going to try and start building a database so that I can pull up different ways of comparing the different electric vehicles. So let's see here. Are you saying, I don't know. I don't think there's let me see if I actually got any of their stuff written. Okay, here's the only thing I could pull for Lordstown. Look at all the TBDs. So basically, all I could find, unless they announced it today, this is what they had. 250 plus mile range, 7,500 pounds of towing capacity, 600 horsepower, base price of $52,500. Now, the one thing is that doesn't include the $7,500 federal tax credit. So that'll, for the first few, that'll come off. They do have 4 motors. They do have ADAS features. They didn't say anything about full self-driving. Now, if I can find more things, but I'm even wanting to look at things like, is it eligible for the federal subsidy? What's the warranty on the battery? What's the warranty on the vehicle? One of the things that no one's talking about is the different sales model and service models. Okay, so this is a thing. So here is why I think probably I don't think, unless Lordstown gets acquired, and I think unless Atlas gets acquired, they don't feel like they have enough benefits in their vehicles to really contend. To me, the most legitimate contenders are the existing ICE companies, as flawed as they might be, and Rivian and Nikola. And I know I'm not a super big Nikola fan, but there's a lot of things about them I could talk more about that makes me think they're kind of more legitimate than a lot of Tesla fans. I mean, everybody's like hating on Nikola, and I see flaws with it, but they have some things that are going for them that are really unique. And one of them is they have some very big partnerships. One is they have a partnership with Bosch. Bosch just doesn't go around and they're a serious heavyweight supplier to the vehicle world, and they have some other relationships that make me think there's legitimacy there. And the other thing is that, and the same thing with Rivian. They've got this investment from Amazon to build these vans, and they feel like they have more capacity. But I'm gonna probably put the Rivian in here and the Badger, just the EV version of the Badger. Supposedly that gets revealed Monday, and hopefully there'll be more specs with it, and I can fill this in more. But honestly, guys, no one's close. When you look at the prices and the specs, outside of aesthetics, because I know there's a group of people. I know a lot of gals don't like the Cybertruck as far as their own personal vehicle. And I know there's a lot of people that just can't get over the aesthetics. So I do think there will definitely be people for the Rivian and for the Badger. I think those are the most likely to actually get produced. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts. Um, yeah, 80 mile. Yes. Yes, you guys are seeing that in there. Oh, yeah. 20-inch wheels, too. 20-inch wheels, that's what my Tacoma has. I think mine are 20-inch. Yeah, my Tacoma are 20-inch wheels. I think this is it looks full size, but it doesn't have, it doesn't seem like it has full size chops. I don't really know who the market is for this, which makes me feel bad because Lordstown has been hit really hard as far as a town. They've lost their big auto plants, and I want them to succeed, but I don't see the value in the vehicle. I really don't. It's more expensive. It's got less features. It's got less capability. I don't see it. I mean, if I was spending $55,000, I'd probably rather pony up another 5 or 10 and get the Rivian or the Badger. Of all of them, I think the Badger looks the coolest. That's very personal opinion, but to me, it looks the coolest. That's one thing I have a problem with the Rivian are those goofy, surprise-looking headlights. I don't get it. I really want to drive one, but man. But you could say the same thing about the Cybertruck. So, yeah, well, Bollinger. Oh, I think Bollinger will get into production, but it's $150,000. I think if you guys want to see, I think from a pure, really interesting concept, Atlas is by far my favorite. Of all the ones out there, the Atlas concept is the one that most impresses me because for all you, it's got the ability to do up to 35,000 pounds with a gooseneck. I think the Cybertruck there's going to have to be some mods for the Cybertruck to do a gooseneck. You're going to have to somehow get the pillar in such a way that turning it won't run into those side sails, and I think that could be a challenge. But the Atlas is designed to be a heavy-duty truck. It's designed to have dualies or dual rear axles. It's got a bunch of different configurations. You can buy it as just the cabin chassis and put different bed configurations on it. That's the one that I'm most interested in. It's also the one I'm most worried about because they're like funded through Kickstarter or something. It's crazy. But yeah, I think, yeah. So anyway, my perception is there's no viable competitor yet. There's no viable competitor yet for the Cybertruck. I think it could, despite them being late to the game, I think Ford could end up being the most viable truck competitor just because once they get spun up, they can probably crank out an awful lot of them. So that's going to be very interesting. So anyway, because of, yeah. Well, yes, very good point, Chinola. I keep telling people the bottleneck for the Cybertruck is not going to be building the Cybertruck. It's going to be building the batteries because, again, you can build concurrent lines relatively easy. It's going to be a really easy vehicle to make once they get the battery capacity for them. So and again, they're further ahead than everyone else. So it's hard for me to believe other companies are going to have their battery production at Tesla's level before Tesla does. I can't see that. I mean, maybe. I don't know how that would happen. So I know a lot of new plants are getting built, so we'll just have to see. Yeah, Jason. Well, I think that... well, here's why I think the Badger is legitimate. Because they've gone an entirely different direction. They're not trying to build it all themselves. They're embracing the old model. And I think there's some advantages to that because if they can really license their design to another OEM and that OEM will build it, then I could see that getting spun up pretty quick, maybe even faster than the Rivian. So that's why I'm thinking, I'm not ready to invest in Nikola. I think the stock price is insane. But as far as like viability, I think they could actually be, I think they may be able to get their pickup truck into production before Rivian does. Because does Rivian even, do they even have I thought they were building their plant in Michigan and now they're relocating. Maybe I got that story wrong. I don't know enough about Rivian yet. That's one of the things I'm thinking about more, is watching the Cybertruck thrash all the ICE counterparts make me go, I'd like to give it some better competition. Well, the one good thing Rivian has, that tank turn is pretty clever. But again, there's no reason the Badger, because the Badger is a 4-motor vehicle as well, so there's no reason it can't do that. So, okay, I wanted to talk about New York versus Okay, so today Ford came out with their sustainability plan that said they're going to be carbon neutral by, I guess before going on to that, did you guys have any questions or want to talk any more about the Badger or any of the other stuff? Roadrunner. Yeah, I heard there was something out about the Roadrunner batteries today. I was literally watching the Hyperchange video when I was like, I better get ready for the stream. So I turned it off and I started getting everything organized that I ended up having to shut down. But I did see that video. Well, Timothy, I think the tri-motor can do a tank turn. I don't know if they're going to make it do that. Because one of my early videos, I explained how you could do a tank turn or something very close to a tank turn with just 3 motors. It seems obvious to me, but I don't want to assume it and then have it not be true. So, yeah. So I agree that the one thing that a tank turn, I'm not really super interested in exactly a tank turn, but having the wheels being able to turn at different degrees. There's times when you're off-roading, when you're in switchbacks, when it would be really nice if you could pivot the truck around instead of having to try and take a turn. So that's the main reason. And then selfishly, snow plowing, being able to do a tank turn would be freaking epic. That's why I much prefer to plow in a skid steer instead of plowing. I mean, pickup truck is good for plowing for some things, but a skid steer is my favorite. A skid steer with a big 12-foot plow on the front of it. I know most of you never plowed snow before, but tank turn would be amazing for that. Okay, so let's see. Ford. So I kind of thought I would talk about Ford here just because they announced that their goal was to be carbon neutral by 2050. And I was sitting here thinking, what are you going to make? Like, what ICE vehicle are you still going to have in production in 30 years? I just literally cannot conceive. I can conceive like 10 years, because there's kind of a off-ramp that has to be gone on as EVs scale up. But something that is super interesting is if you've done, one of the things that I'm super fascinated about is this whole area of business disruption and how quickly something can surprise everyone. And, an old technology that you don't really think of as old can suddenly vanish in light of a new technology or a new tool. But this is what I wanted to point out. These 2 slides were actually, there's this guy by the name of Tony Seba, I think, S-E-B-A. I'll find it and put it in the notes when I'm done. But I think that's his name. Anyway, he's just focuses on disruptive technology. And, he's really interesting. I mean, he's an academic, but he's super interesting. But he showed me these slides in a video. He showed these slides in a video. And so this is Easter morning, 1900, in downtown New York. So you can see there's one car right there. Everything else is horses. And then 13 years later, Easter morning, there's, I think the horse is right here. In 13 years, think about that. There wasn't a bunch of they invented the assembly line. They were inventing a revolutionary technology. And if I remember right, the Model T, I think, came out in 1903 or 05. It wasn't it was within 8 years. So the thing was, within 8 years, 80% being 80% horses to 80% cars took 8 years. Back then, back when they were inventing the industries that would support it. So the thing is that when you think about how fast this is coming, and how once you start getting the flywheel of manufacturing going, how quickly the electric vehicle is going to take off, and how unwanted. Because just think, I mean, that this is one of the things Elon Musk says all the time, how the electric vehicles, especially Teslas with full self-driving, will actually appreciate in value while regular ICE vehicles are depreciating in value. Who's going to buy it? It's going to be a fire sale. And then how do you keep producing it on an assembly line? I just think it amazes me that Ford did this. This was Ford. Ford started this. And yet they've just lost, like I don't know what to say. I just think this is startling because they're getting ready to unveil their new F-150 tomorrow. And they've kind of put off their EV, their Ford F-150 EV, I think until 2022 now. So the whole point I was making is when you're looking at it, you're going, oh, Tesla's going from 500,000 to 250,000 or to 750,000 to 1 million cars. It's hard to imagine how fast you can scale production once you actually have the money and the know-how. This is like what happened in World War II. We were building something like, it was like 1,000 planes a year, warplanes a year. And by the end of World War II, 4 years later, we were building something like 250,000 planes a year. And the same goes with everything else. Once they figured out how to produce these things, and then they could just start scaling up, and they had the money, there was all this money flowing in, they could just build these ever more massive plants. And the exponentiality of it is startling. And we haven't seen anything like that since World War II. So nobody realizes how quickly a change like this can happen once you have the funding and the market. It can happen in a few years when everything gets spun up. So, no EU. So, oh, Ford unveiled it today? I thought they were unveiling it tomorrow. Okay, so. Yeah, I think there's a question about, certainly it's hard for me to imagine why Tesla would sell to others when their largest constraint on their business right now is batteries. They would have to get, I don't see them, that's what's constraining them with the Cybertruck. And it's the same with large-scale battery storage. There's a bunch of businesses that they could actually do profitably already if they could just build their batteries fast enough. So It's hard for me to imagine that they would sell to their OEMs because it feels like they're going to be constrained on batteries for a few years for sure. So anyway, EVs are not as good as ICE vehicles now. I guess I would say that depends on the vehicle, probably. Yeah, well, aesthetically, so aesthetically, I would say could be. I love the way the Cybertruck looks. So I think you're very much on it's kind of a opinion there. What styling do you like? But I really want the Cybertruck, and I really like the way it looks. It does look bizarre, but I like that. I think that I love that look. So I don't think the Ford looks better, but I think the Ford makes a beautiful truck for sure. I mean, they've always had nice looking trucks. Okay, so I wanted to, let's see, Ford sustainability, Lordstown, other trucks. Oh, that's probably all the really good stuff that I have that's specifically Cybertruck related. You guys have any questions or anything you want to talk about? Toyota equals hybrid. Yeah. Oh, hey, Fearsome. You went. Did you notice anything? So Fearsome was at the museum today. Let's see how fast his fingers can go. If he has anything other than that, it was awesome. No, well, we'll see if he says anything. Yeah, I know you went. Did you see anything new? Like any surprises? Yeah. 6 cameras. Well, there's probably some inside. Where were the cameras? No, there was 2. I know there's 2 by the license plate. I just wonder. Oh, and there's 2 in the. I know there's 2 in the wheel wells. So. Yep. Yeah. Well, like I said, David, I think Ford is probably going to be one that is going to be competitive. Where are the 2 in the front? That's the ones I couldn't figure out. Yeah, some people mentioned that it looked more polished. I think that. Why do I think the 7K FSD? Well, I think didn't they do that for like the Model Y? I mean, I think they're just being consistent with offering the 7K. So here's my thing. I think they're going to be able to deliver some Cybertrucks by the end of next year. So I don't think it's as far out as everyone thinks. You want someone? Oh, it's Goodyear, I'm pretty sure. Tire brand is Goodyear. And they're custom made for the Cybertruck. Those are specifically made for the Cybertruck. Yeah. Oh, they're near the blinkers in the front. Interesting. Yeah, it looked mirror. Now, the other thing is the reveal was at night, which I wonder if that was kind of a mistake. I mean, I wish one of the things I got out of the Leno show was what it was like to be on the inside of the Cybertruck during the day. That was shocking. That was unbelievable. Now, if you already have a Tesla, you kind of know about that, but I couldn't believe it. The like you're outside. It was incredible. So, yeah, there's no gap. I was mentioning that. So either they're gonna just put regular wipers in, or they're coming up with something new. Well, looking into the midgate request is basically, I saw the same request that one person did, and Elon said worth looking into. I do know that I was on the Cybertruck owners group, owners forum, whatever that is, which, by the way, I would imagine all y'all know about that, but I think they do a pretty good job. Anyway, there was a post on there asking people if they could only pick 3 features that would be added to the Cybertruck, what would they be? And the full midgate access was by far, like, it was almost number 1 on, I looked at it, there was 4 pages. So I think that it's going to be loud and clear to Tesla that if they can pull this off, it's a huge deal. See, that's the other thing. Okay. That's the other thing about all the other pickup trucks. They don't have the possibility to have it be a micro RV with that pass-through and the tonneau cover that's integrated with HVAC in the bed. So unless Elon misrepresented his tweet about the fact that there would be environmental controls in the bed, that is so revolutionary as far as a recreational vehicle, because it's not just for camping, it's also for pets. If you guys have big dogs, you know exactly what I mean. It is a huge pain in the ass to have your big dogs with you in a truck because you can't put them in the bed. Well, I mean, you can, but I don't trust my dogs. So I think that when you start adding it up, when I started doing my list of specs, I had to add another one. I was going to add, can't remember what it was. I keep stumbling across things, and I keep realizing all of the things that the Cybertruck has that either the other vehicles don't have or they're not talking about. But the integrated tonneau cover with the HVAC, and if they can get that pass through, oh my God, I don't know how you compete with that. You'd have to that design is the only way you could do that. Now, yes, you could do it. They did it in the Avalanche, but it didn't have the sloping tonneau cover. So it's like, great, you have a midgate access, but it's not like you can run your air conditioner in there. It didn't achieve the same thing. That old cab and bed configuration didn't allow for what the Cybertruck will allow for. That's obviously one of the things that gets me super excited. All right. Well, outside of the Raptor, it's real close. The Raptor is a little wider. You don't need a garage for your Cybertruck. It wants to be left outside. It's a truck. You think the frunk will pop? I don't know how maybe, I guess. There's nothing that says it can't. Isn't there a picture? I thought there was is there no picture of the frunk being opened? Now that you mention it, I don't think there is. That's very interesting. That's a very interesting idea. So the frunk, instead of popping open from the front, it would pop open at the windshield. That's a very interesting concept. Has someone else talked about that, Jason? I've not seen that idea. That's a very interesting idea. I hadn't even thought about it popping open forward like that. Kind of like a cab over truck does. Okay, let's see. Has anyone seen? I don't think. That's crazy. Well, Jason, Very interesting. Oh, now Timothy's going to ruin it. Frunk opens from the front. Never mind. Dang it. Crushed my hopes. Okay. Well, I think that's probably it for tonight. So, probably what I'm going to do next week, if there's, I kind of want to, if I can, if there's some legitimate specs out there, I'd like to actually kind of show the difference between the Cybertruck and the more capable electric vehicle counterparts. So since the Badger is supposed to be revealed on Monday or Tuesday, that's probably something that we'll cover. And then it always seems like there's something new. I will try on the streams to post my agenda in the morning so that you guys can kind of see what it is that I'm thinking about talking about at night. And I have no idea why the stream ended up working. Like, I don't know what I did, why I struggled so much. I don't know. I have no idea what happened. So hopefully next week we won't have that kind of drama. All right. Okay. Well, didn't I talk about the underside? I thought I did. All right. I'll comment on this and then we'll sign off. So what I meant to say before I got disoriented by having all my stream windows, pre-opened windows closed, is that the Cybertruck to me has the most capable overall armor package I've never seen a vehicle that's as armored as the Cybertruck is for everything, but specifically for off-roading. The thing that's so unique about the bottom of the Cybertruck is not only that it's got that it looks like very capable armor on the bottom, but the other thing to remember is that it's flat. And that makes such a big deal when you're doing off-roading stuff. The things won't get damaged, especially like the differential, the differential pumpkin that hangs down. So I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen another vehicle, and really, honestly, I don't think they even could. Now, maybe trophy trucks or something have that kind of an Under Armour, but I've never seen it. So I think, again, hopefully a lot of you haven't off-roaded before. We're going to change that when we do our meetups, and we're going to get you guys out there and enjoying and seeing how much fun it is to go off-roading. So, okay. All right. I will. David, you're my first troll. Welcome to. Welcome to. Well, it's nice to have a troll. All right. Okay, guys. We'll talk at you next week. Next week is going to be the tri-motor versus. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do the F250, even though I already did a Ford. The F250 diesel is like what almost everyone I know has that's what they get. So I'm going to be doing the tri-motor versus the F250 diesel. So, and then we'll be back here next Thursday. So other than that, thanks for coming, guys. And we'll talk at you later.